Welcome back, everyone, to season 2 of the Breaking Stones podcast. I'm your host, Mike Wolf, and been excited to get back into it. There's been a lot going on in the natural stone and building materials and really construction, real estate, everything you name it. There's been a lot going on in our industry, and so we were able to close out the summer there in August. And we had Kip Rapp from Kincora as our last guest in season 1, and really excited to jump into season 2 here as we head into the fall season, which most people don't know, but a very busy time for natural stone in our industry, really building materials industry. I think in general, as in a lot of places, people look to get things done before the winter or before the inclement weather starts. So, especially here in the Northeast, and I know in other parts of the country as well, but typically there's that slowdown period as the colder weather happens upon us, but with the supply chain backups and some of the other issues, labor shortages, material shortages, uh, increase in prices, you name it, everything that that could be going on right now is going on. I think we're in for a pretty busy winter as some of the projects maybe run a little bit longer than expected, and maybe some builders who haven't worked in the winter before realize that in order to get ahead or stay ahead, they're going to have to work in the winter. So that'll be an interesting time as well. And so we're going to share a little bit of insight into what's going on in the industry, what's going on with natural stone, what we're expecting. Nice short one this week, and we'll get some guests in coming up, and really excited to kick off season 2 to bring us right into. Can't believe it. We're in Q4. We're in October. We'll be headed right into the new year, and then restart things in 2022. Which cannot believe we're even saying that. Really, really amazing. So, a little bit about what's going on in the industry, and if you've been paying attention to supply chain issues or the movement of materials or costs, and of course the pandemic has played a role. I think we're all a little bit exhausted of the pandemic itself, but there's no doubt that it's had an impact locally and or domestically and international. I think I saw as of yesterday morning, and here we are on October 3rd. But as of yesterday morning, there were 60 plus container ships off the coast of California waiting to arrive into the U.S. to offload. And as we look at it, so one of the things we don't import a lot of things, but one of the things we do import is gloves for our workers. And I mean, typically it would not take this long, but they were supposed to be here sometime in September. They're sitting on one of the cargo ships that are off the coast of California. They said it would be here this week, but I don't have much faith in that. But the impact that's having for us, and I don't think it's it's something that people grasp across our country, or maybe they don't see the impact on a day to day basis. But what I've been telling everyone is for your holiday shopping, and I'm a last minute shopper, so this will be hardest for me. I think anyone who's a last minute shopper, you're going to want to start planning in advance because there will be less and less available right around the holiday season. And I know at one point we talked about Home Depot leasing their own container ship to bring in material. I saw an article recently that Costco has now leased at least one container ship, and they're bringing in their own stuff. So it's interesting to see how a lot of the businesses adapt. I know on my end, as chief operating officer, we've had to make some adjustments throughout the past, I don't know, almost 2 years at this point, 20 months, to with supply chains, with price increases, with labor shortages, and uh, different COVID regulations. So all those things come into play. And there's only so much time in a day, right? There's only so much time to offload container ships, and if they're constantly coming, uh, you're not going to catch up. And so it'll be interesting to see how it evolves and what adjustments can be made in the future, uh, or in the near future, and in the I don't know, foreseeable future, and even beyond that. But supply chains, logistics, always something that fascinates me. Of course, once the material gets into the U.S. and gets through customs, then it has to be shipped. And coming into the holiday season, a lot more things move. So you're going to see some of the backup on the logistics side, in terms of trucking and the final mile home delivery and business delivery. So really, really interesting stuff. And we're making those adjustments on our end. Uh, Transportation Management System, or TMS, is something that we decided to move forward with, and maybe we can get a guest on from one of those companies, and they can talk about it as it does pertain to Stone in general and some of our things. So, but focused on what we're really here to talk about, and one of the things that really caught my eye last month was an article on ionhousing.org, and I'll be sure to share this in the show notes, from the what's it called, the National Association of Home Builders, and this is where I saw the article initially, and it talked about share of new homes with patios, and we've talked about outdoor living spaces, I think, a lot, whether it's been on this podcast, certainly a lot of the articles that we've written, a lot of the things that we've seen from our customers, our authorized dealers throughout the country, talking about, or we're seeing an increased demand for patio material, and we're hearing, some of the pool contractors and installers being backed up at this point for 2 years. And there's a variety of reasons that happens, right? It's supply and demand, the slowdown. When COVID hit, people didn't want other people working at their house, or for fear of things being spread. Some places had shutdowns, but there's no doubt about it that the pandemic has accelerated the demand for outdoor living spaces at in residence. And whether it's people are hesitant about traveling, or they're realizing, okay, they're going to spend more time at home if they're going to be working from home and trapped in the house. Maybe they just want to have a space outside that they can relax for a little bit. So there's so many different reasons, but just to give you a little bit of data, because that's my geekiness there. Of the 990,000 single family homes started in 2020, 61.4% have are coming with patios, and it's the fifth year in a row that they've seen that trend increasing. And okay, a patio can mean a variety of things, right? And as we look at that, and one of the notes I have in this article is, the average size of a patio in a new single family home is about 278 square feet, and it'll vary based on geography. They talk about in the Mid Atlantic how average is over 350 square feet, and if you move into the east and the north and central Pacific divisions, it's under 200 square feet. So it really does depend. There's always that geography that comes with it, but certainly this trend is growing, and poured concrete continues to be the building material of choice. And then concrete and paver bricks. And on our end, we're introducing and making natural stone, flagstone, and pavers more available, and so are other companies in our industry. So we're seeing an uptick in request for that. I think there is still some price variation, but it's there, and we're seeing more and more, and a lot of that has to do with durability. It has to do with the sustainability, the ease of installation. For a long time, it was split flagging or flagstone that we offer even at 1 to 4 inch thick. Well, now there's a gauged flagstone that might be 2 inches thick and can be laid down quicker. There's advancements in technology where, instead of having to lay it down by hand, carrying this heavy, thick stone that you're looking at, it's now being done with equipment on site. If you look at some of the suction cup or vacuum installation tools that you can put right on the end of a forklift, or even for guys to carry, or people on the job to carry, they can each grab a spot, and it's making it easier. They're installing it quicker. There's less risk involved in terms of injury, because you're not doing as much by hand, and having that gauge thickness, right, is important, and that ease of installation. The quicker it can go in, the quicker that patio is set, the quicker the contractor gets paid, and they're on to the next one. And there's certainly a shortage in homes, and uh, you know, real estate has not been something that I was into for a long time. I got in this industry and started to understand more and more, but single family, and this article again, this one comes from CNBC earlier this month. No, I'm sorry, we're in October. So earlier last month, and it talks about single family construction is the slowest since 1995, and that in the U.S. itself, we're short about 5.24 single family homes. So um, again, the trend is continuing that way, where there's building and there's building and there's building. Well, look at the demand is there. The supply chain is dragging things out, so it's taking a little bit longer to install these. So for the foreseeable future, and this is a conversation I was having internally, we're looking at, okay, well, there's going to be a demand for these products, for these material, um, and it's going to continue for a while. But look at in 2009, they talked about 44.8% of the of new single family homes had a patio space. In 2012, it was just over 52%, and it's grown continuously since then. And I think with the pandemic and also the shift, I think more people are moving outside of cities, and uh, because of the work from home, there's less of a commute. They may not need to be living in the city, so they can have a little more space, a little more bang for their buck, so to speak. And they're realizing that, so why not take advantage of it? And with that comes the outdoor living space. So it's when we think of it, we often think of pools, we think of outdoor kitchens and grills and things like that, but we're also noticing the fireplaces and fire pits, excuse me. So it's not just extending that living space to outside for the warmer months. It's okay, well, how do we extend that? Not just extend the space outside, how do we extend the time that we can spend outside? And so with that, we see fireplaces and fire pits um, and kitchens and heating systems underneath the patio, so there's no snow or ice and all these different things. And looking at the materials that will hold up in these harsher climates, and so many different things come into play here, and it's pretty exciting to be a part of it. It's obviously stressful at times because we all want to move things along quicker, right? Lead times are, in particular, are difficult everywhere, and with that, we're seeing. I'll say increased frustration, and there's times where we get phone calls from an authorized dealer who's stressed about something that's going on with a job, and we're working with them. And the other thing, you know, we don't know. They've been through five or six other things. They start telling us, and then this happened, and this supplier, and this, and then we can't get an answer when the container is going to arrive from overseas. So there's there's just a backlog of things, and while it is stressful, I think we need to focus on the positive and say, okay, well, let's adapt to this now, and also start to take advantage of. And learn from it so we can grow for the future and be prepared and improve our processes. And for us, it was okay, well, how can we improve, right? Labor shortage, there's only so much zone, there's only so much time in a day. Well, making adjustments and analyzing production more on our end has um, led to an increase of about 10 to 15% a day in what we can produce. And that's without sacrificing any of the quality or additional waste. So for us, that's exciting. For me, looking at it, I'm like, man, I wish we saw that sooner. I can't believe it took that long to figure it out. But when you're forced into that situation, you start to adapt and make adjustments that uh, maybe when things are going okay, you tend to overlook. So we're all working together to try and make this, I guess, go as smoothly as possible. We'll call it, even though it's not going that smoothly, or it's bumpier than any of us expected. That's for sure. Um, and I think it's the first time ever I've heard some of the business owners say, "Man, can't wait for winter to get here and hope that there's a slowdown." But again, I don't know if we're going to see that slowdown, or certainly the traditional slowdown that we have. And we've we've seen this and we've studied some of the trends. And for the past couple of years, we've talked to our authorized dealers, right? And that's on the Delgado Stone side, and preparing them for some of the changes that we anticipated, right? Having material on the ground, how important it is to stock something, because it could be the difference between getting that sale because you're going to get the job started, or not getting the sale, and then communicating with the supplier, the manufacturer. On our end, we encourage our dealers to say, look, we can work with you, but we need communication, and communication is key. It allows everyone to plan and save a little bit of time and money and frustration as we go through these projects, especially when there's a hiccup. And when we talk about it in our internal meetings, look, anyone can provide service when things are going well. It's easy, right? You're shipping things out, things are going smoothly, everyone's happy. Sure, that service isn't about that. I mean, that's a small portion of it, because anyone could do it. But when things are difficult, that's where it becomes important. And picking up the phone when there's a challenge and being able to respond and adjust. And as long as everyone's willing to collaborate. We recently had a job where they didn't want to be held up. They had gotten to a point a little bit earlier than anticipated. Their material was scheduled to arrive in a couple weeks, but we got a little bit done in advance, and they said, well, let's ship that up. If you guys can get that done, we'll ship it up, we'll get them started, and then the rest of the material arrives. Okay, so they paid a little bit more on freight, but if you compare that to the cost of having people standing around and maybe having to move them to another job, or a job being incomplete, or holding up other parts of the project, which can happen, it certainly made sense. So again, there on our end, we push something ahead to get it done. They're willing to pay for the freight to get it there quicker, because they understand the cost involved with that, and the value add in doing so. And it worked out. But without the communication, it's never going to happen. And that's what we're seeing: a lot more collaboration with our dealers, a lot more working together, understanding. We had a dealer out in the Midwest working on a very large job, and they said, "Look, we don't need anything until August, but we're going to put this order in." And this was in April, I believe. And they said, we're going to start taking it August. We'd like to do one load a week, and I forget the exact number. It was maybe somewhere around 10 or 15 loads uh, of stone that needed to go out there. Knowing in advance this was the schedule, it allowed us to plan and build towards that as it went on. So traditionally, in an industry where planning and executing is not, I'm trying to be politically correct here and saying it in a nice way. It's not something that we're known for in this industry. So working with everyone to plan that and to be prepared makes a big, big difference. That job will not be held up with information. Now, is that extreme? Can we always get it 4 months in advance? Probably not. But I'll tell you this right now: I've had more requests come to me for 2022 uh, pricing already. In the past, we've released that in February, but we're saying, okay, well, this year we're probably gonna have to get it out sooner, because more people are prepared. They're planning. They're saying, okay, well, this is going in the summer of 2022. It's going in April 2022. This one's in July 2020. And so we're going, this is great that we know this in advance. Well, we have to get them pricing, and we have to be prepared so that we can, everyone can plan it out and get the order in time. And then everyone's going to, everything will run as smoothly as it should in a perfect world. So we're seeing that happen. The backlog is happening. People are starting to learn, starting to adapt. We're also seeing, in terms of material, going to new places that we hadn't sent before. So when there's log jams or backlogs, or people can't get the material or something that they were expecting through their traditional source or traditional route, they're going to look for alternatives. So some of the material that we've imported, right, the thin stack material is one of the stack stone panels that we've had. Well, there's another price increase that brought it up 50%. Well, because it's not something we produce, it's something we have to pass on, and then the uncertainty of being able to get it in at a certain time. Well, okay, so how do you combat that? People look at alternatives and say, all right, well, I'll take this. Can we get it? Can we get something similar domestically, and in a more secure or predictable time frame, I guess is the best way to say it. So we've moved material to Texas this year, which we've never done before. We've had material go to Wisconsin, and we've been in California and the Pacific Northwest, but we're seeing that even more now, and it's because of the predictability in when imported material can arrive. They don't know; it might sit on the container for 6 weeks, right outside the port. So you put in the time of ordering it, getting it, shipping it, and again, at some point, everyone will work through this and figure it out. But um, you know, the we talk about the global market or local market. Well, there is that local market, but we're seeing more people buy things through our dealers that are not necessarily in their geographic footprint. So, dealers from Massachusetts selling stuff in Florida, dealers from New York moving material to Pennsylvania or North Carolina. So, what's leading this is sometimes the builders are doing work in other places. Sometimes the homeowner might have a second residence, um, and then other times there's just the age of the internet and technology. People from all over are looking at material from all over, and so they see something, and maybe they're in Texas, but they see a stone from Connecticut that they're interested in. They say, you know what, I want that. And well, okay, let's work to get it. And now we're doing that. So we're working with our dealers to prepare for more lead generation, more contact online, and getting themselves found. Uh, when we recommend someone talks to one of our dealers, we want them to be prepared to move material to a certain area, or at least have our material on their website and readily available. So again, that collaboration and being able to prepare for that. So there's certainly a lot going on, and it's a fun, exciting time. I know. I say that now. I say that here. I'm recording this on a Sunday morning when it's quiet and the facility is not running because it's the calm before the storm. But everyone working together, collaboration. I know our blade supplier for who cuts provides us the blades that we cut the stone. They've had some some issues with getting material and for the blades, and we've been able to work with them, and they've been able to keep up with us. And I haven't heard from anyone else that they're not able to keep up with them. So they're making adjustments, and maybe it's working longer hours, or they found alternate sources for their material. It's a wild, wild time, and I think we'll all look back on it at some point and be like, "What the heck was that? What just happened?" And uh, we'll work together through it. So a good time to be in the natural stone industry, uh, as we see more architects requesting it, more homeowners, more the focus on the sustainability, and it's domestic and unique. So if you're in the world of natural stone, you have to be excited about everything that's going on. If you can move past or look past that stressful part, and again, the collaborative side, always important, um, and how the material is being used. It's no longer simply the foundation or the exterior of a home or a building. It's now evolved into being used in showers, in interior showers, exterior showers, always on fireplaces, interior and exterior fireplaces, patios, and outdoor living spaces that we touched on in the beginning of the show. Again, I'll put in the show notes. So. Good times. We're excited to have guests on that we'll be able to talk more about this as we head into the fall season, um, and and take us right into the new year. Again, can't believe it's Q4 and already October. Fall is here, but looking forward to it. And thank you everyone for joining us. And here's to an exciting end to the year and building up towards 2022.